Vladimir Ilyich Jochelson, 1855, Vilnius, November 2, 1937, New York, was a Russian ethnographer and researcher of the indigenous peoples of the Russian North. Biography. Jochelson came from a wealthy, religious Jewish family. He attended the Vilna Rabbinical Seminary, where he participated in the socialist revolutionary group Narodnaya Volia. Compelled to leave Russia in 1875, he went first to Berlin and then in 1879 to Switzerland, where he remained 4 years, studying at Zurich and then teaching at a school on the Lake of Geneva, while keeping in touch with the revolutionary movement as editor of the Vyestnik Narodnoy Volia, which had a clandestine circulation in Russia. On his return to Russia in 1884, he was recognized, arrested and confined for 3 years in the Petropavlovsk fortress in St. Petersburg, and in 1887 was sentenced by order of the Tsar to exile for 10 years in northern Siberia, in the province of Yakutsk. In Siberia, Jochelson made a special study of the language, manners, and folklore of the aboriginal inhabitants, especially that of the Tungus, Yakuts, and the fast-disappearing Yukayas. His articles on those subjects began to attract attention, and in 1894 he and a fellow exile, Vladimir Bogoraz, were by special permission attached to the first expedition of the Imperial Russian Geographical Society, which had been sent to that part of Siberia at the expense of a wealthy Russian promoter of art and science named Sibir Yukov. On that expedition, Jochelson discovered among the natives in the outlying regions 2 Yukaya dialects then considered as extinct. The Imperial Geographical Society published his discoveries in the field of ethnology, while the linguistic reports of his investigation were required for publication by the Imperial Academy of Science. When the GZAP expedition to North Asia was being fitted out by the American Museum of Natural History, the Russian Imperial Academy of Science, in answer to a request, recommended Jochelson and Bogoraz as the men best fitted to contribute to its success by knowledge of the country and of the native languages. For the expedition, Jochelson spent 2.5 years in the distant north, studying primarily the Koryaks, Yukaya, and Saka, accompanied by his wife Dina Brodskaya, a qualified doctor who took care of all the anthropometric and medical work, and most of the photography. The expedition was intended to create a comprehensive record of the peoples being studied, and a very wide range of artifacts and material objects were collected, as well as the final ethnographies and written field notes of the participants. Jochelson returned with the expedition to the United States, studying the material which he and his wife, who accompanied him in the last journey, had collected. In 1909–11, Jochelson led the Ryabushinsky expedition of the Imperial Russian Geographic Society to Kamchatka and the Aleutian Islands, and then from 1912 to 1922 he was a divisional curator of the Museum of Anthropology and Ethnography of the Russian Academy of Sciences in St. Petersburg, and lectured at the university there. He emigrated to New York in 1922 and spent the rest of his life in the United States, where he renewed his association with the American Museum of Natural History, and later with the Carnegie Institution in Washington, D.C. Jochelson contributed extensively to scientific journals in Russian, German and English. In English, his best-known full works are his volumes The Koryaks and the Yukaya and Yukagwi Rise Tungus for the GZAP expedition, his handbook, Peoples of Asiatic Russia for the American Museum of Natural History, and Archaeological Investigations in the Aleutian Islands and Archaeological Investigations in Kamchatka, both for the Carnegie Institution. His final work focused on refining his work on the Aleutian language and preparing a study of the Kamchatal people. Works, Peoples of Asiatic Russia.